Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 73 of the Knife Guy. If you just came out of some weird corner of the internet, you have no idea where you are or who I am a knife guy, knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are all knife guys and gals in this super weird, super complicated EDC and folding knife world. We all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same weird things. That's what this show is all about. I like to pick up stuff that's either mine or some of my generous viewers and just sort of take a look at it, you know, flip it, mess with it, and give you guys something to watch or listen to while you kick back and enjoy this Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. So what are we talking about today? So in the comments section, I think it was like 2.5 weeks ago, and this isn't super common. I mean, oftentimes I can tell when somebody pops into a community and they're brand new. The automatic instinct for that person is to question aggressively the necessity of whatever it is that the group is, you know, it happens in the real world, you know, in any social group. It happens in, you know, on YouTube. I don't know what it is about, like, some people have this, and it's actually really common. I think it's more common than it is not, is that, let's say, for example, you and 6 of your friends are sitting around playing Mario Kart, right? You're doing that thing like what we used to do. We used to sit around the couch and play it on N64, and we would, you know, we'd have 4 people, and then the bottom 2 people would rotate, or the people who got 3rd and 4th place would rotate out, right? And let's say there's a new friend in your group, or somebody's like, hey, my buddy Ralph is coming over. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. I don't know if it's like a coping mechanism that people do. Like, basically they're you know, outwardly and internally aware that they're the new guy in the group, right? And so is the group. And so to compensate, Ralph says something like, I've never really understood the fascination with Mario Kart. Oh, I mean, like, you know, for all the, I suppose in some way, shape, or form, I've probably done that too. For whatever reason, people tend to do that. They like to jump in and immediately criticize what they're receiving at face value. The obvious flaw in this is that you're coming in with no information. You know, in Ralph's case, he doesn't understand the appeal of Mario Kart. Honestly, I feel bad for Ralph in that situation. You don't like Mario Kart? What's wrong? It's the best game to destroy friendships with, right? Blue shell your buddy right at the finish line. You can guarantee he's not coming over for at least a month. Anyways, yeah, people do that. I can always tell when people are new to the knife world in general, not necessarily my channel, because they jump in and they're like, you know, the common phrase, who would ever spend X amount on it? Well, okay, it's understandable, but also at the same time, you're jumping into, it's not immediately apparent to them that you're jumping into a community, and the people generally around you, or also in the comment section, or the people watching the video, are mostly knife people, right? So I think the general assumption of the people jumping in and saying stuff like that are, you know, this criticism is valid, and surely there are other people out there who agree with me. Not, oh wait, I'm in, this is like an enthusiast community and I'm the odd man out. No, that's generally not the case. Or if it is an idea, it's buried in their subconscious, right? It's the same type of thing. The new guy comes in and you know, creates criticism. I don't know what the idea is to basically draw attention to the fact that he may be more intelligent than everybody. I don't know. I think human beings do that naturally. It's like the whole peacock thing, right? But yeah, that happens periodically. I can always tell, and usually I just wave it off and let the comment get buried, because that's what'll happen anyway. But something that it was like the second time I'd seen the comment, and I don't think it was necessarily somebody who was brand new, somebody that was complaining about unnecessary gimmicky stuff in the knife world, right? And it was a very broad statement. I'm tired of this unnecessary, you know, all these gimmicks, right? It's just like, it sounded smart on the surface, but it was just like it was sort of a broad gesture to everything. So there was no information there. So I got to talking with him. I was like, well, what do you mean, you know? So we broke it down a little bit, and it was a calm conversation. I'm sure I led this up like acting like I was gonna really like come down on this person. No, it's a pretty calm conversation, and they were just like, well, you know, like, a knife is meant to cut, you know, it really just needs to have simple cutting geometry, it needs to have an ergonomic handle. We don't need all these crazy, like, you know, subcategories of different compositions, right? And these meaningless minor tweaks in edge retention and edge, you know, the ability to sharpen. And, you know, it was basically like anything that was in excess of what he considered to be just a standard, like a straightforward design, was just totally unnecessary, and he was sick of seeing it. I can kind of understand that, kind of. Unfortunately, the world that he's describing, for those of us, if you're watching this right now and you're looking around the table, oh man, that looks interesting. What's he got out there? He's got a Halo 6. He's got a, sorry, that one takes a long time to reload. He's got this little bottle butcher thing. He's got this weird steel wheel Scylla that's like a front flipper, right? It's got some weird stuff out there. Some stuff with Timascus on it, right? None of this is necessarily new. If you're watching my channel and you're you know, part of you is paying attention to what I'm saying and part of you is like focused on what's on the table, then you're somebody who appreciates the excess, right? So here's the world that this gentleman was describing. This is a world where none of the excess exists, and we just stopped as soon as we got to a level where like the design was made slightly better. Oh boy, a little buck slip joint, right? That's basically the textbook definition of pocket knife, little pen knife, right? And we have the open L, right? Also very, very simple in construction. Wood, very functional blade shape, right? Simple lock, right? Just no more than what you need, right? And then perhaps substantially the most in excess, right? People who are really into those two might actually call the Ontario Rat 1 in excess. Simple liner lock, D2 steel, right? Definitely going to be tough and have better edge retention than the other two. And actually at the time, you know, like if either of these were considered brand new things, this thing would seem like something from Star Wars, right? And then we would have just stopped right here because we have knife perfected, we have function perfected, right? That's the world he was describing. No thank you. Oh God. Oh, my insides are just rotting with the idea of a world like that. No thank you. Ugh, no, that would be the worst thing ever. I want unnecessary and excess. I want interesting, crazy, odd. I want all of them, however many synonyms, right? Cannon blast synonyms. I want all of that stuff. I want manufacturers, makers to push the limit, right? Obviously, what is a result of this is people, of course, the reason that this is a complaint is because certain things get hyped up. Where is that CJRB? I don't know where it is. CJRB's new, what is it? ARR PM9 powder form steel, right? Yeah, okay, it's a new steel, it's proprietary, right? And people say, whoa, it's just a gimmick to get people to buy it. We've talked about this before, right? It is different, it is interesting, it is a slight variant of it. From what I got from it, from what a lot of people are getting from it, is that it's powder form 9CR 18 MOV. Do we all need that? No. Are there a few of us out there that could really make use of it? Yes. Will the vast majority of people who buy that knife simply be interested in it because it is new? Yes. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not. It's not at all. I mean, that's just one example. But like, do we need front flippers? No, but geez, I sure am glad that they exist. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting here. I'm glad all this stuff exists. Can you imagine my whole channel was just me talking about the rat? That's still a knife, still cuts. It's a good knife. I love the rat, but my God. Yeah, 100%. the knife world is full of unnecessary. It's full of over-the-top, right? There are tons and tons of knives that use materials. I mean, an argument could be made that we never needed titanium on a knife, or that 204P really never needed to be made. The truth is that every time something new, like when M390 was the new, like, you know, it was like being whispered on the forums. Have you heard about this new steel M390? M390? Oh, I hear it's the new greatest thing ever, right? Just whispers here and there in dark alleys and in forums, right? And then you get the critics. Oh, we never know, you know, this whole new super steel thing is such a gimmick. M390 is just another gimmick. Blah 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 blah. Same thing happened then. It's just repeating, you know, history. And then when the new things come out, all the new stuff, all of a sudden M390 is just totally accepted as like an old reliable steel, right? Just like 154CM. And before that, 440C, right? Or actually now it's like S30V. I'm going by like, the Benchmade Griptilian is a great example of like how certain steels were both hailed and criticized as gimmicks, and then they fell back because like new stuff came out, and then they fell back again, right? So 440C, newest, best, craziest thing. You got some veterans saying, oh, 440C is just blah, 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 blah. Now it's like just this old reliable budget steel, right? 154CM, then S30V, M390's on the same track, right? It's the same thing over and over and over again. Anybody who claims, complains about progress in any form, even if it is unnecessary, I think you're kind of wasting your breath, because that's how the world works. Everything. Sometimes it is just progress for the sake of progress, right? Define progress how you will. We're in an area of the knife. We're always in an area of the knife world. I think post Buck 110, we've always existed in a knife world where like like a lot of what we perceive to be as, you know, ultra utilitarian is like kind of unnecessary. You really do just need a sharp piece of metal, in my opinion, that folds and can lock to get the job done. Does do ergonomics play a role? Ease of manipulation, right? Geometry, heat treat, steel, materials, weight, all that stuff. Does it play a role in how convenient it is? Sure. But people are more or less likely to agree that those types of things are necessary. So there's a lot of people who are like, nope, I ain't never need nothing more than my Buck 110. Everything else is just pomp and frill and fanciness, and I don't need that fanciness in my life. You know, I'm totally okay. It takes me 14 seconds to open my Buck 110 with two hands, and then I cut up some bark and some cactuses and whatever, and I put it away. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry making fun of people. I don't dislike the Buck 110. It's just like that. So, some people, and again, seriously, no offense to anybody who's like loves the Buck 110. That's all you need. Because truthfully, yeah, there's a lot of justifications there. But I'll make a lot of justifications and points for some of the more, you know, modernized forms that knives take, even if, you know, I can tell some elements are in excess and some are. A lot of companies, like for example, CRKT with the Huron. A lot of people look at that and they're like, why? Why do they even make that? It's so totally unnecessary, and it pulls away from the entire idea of a knife being just a simple functional cutting tool, right? It's so in excess and so crazy, it actually has the opposite effect. It actually makes it inconvenient. The point of that knife was CRKT, or Columbia River Knife and Tool, going, hey, look what we can do. I don't know if you guys knew this, you enthusiast knife market that we're trying to appeal to. I don't know if you guys knew that we're capable of doing this, but we are, right? That was a good move, because that is the flavor right now. Anodized titanium with the 3D milling or the micro milling, premium materials like M390, or certainly soon to be, you know, the big new thing is this Vanex Super Clean, and M398. I don't know how that hasn't been blown up more. But M398 is the thing. It's supposed to be better than M390. Look at me ironically criticizing it while I also try to defend the idea of a evolving knife world. Yeah, there's always going to be critics. I'm refraining from using the word hater, right? Because some people find their spot, right? They're in the knife world for a while. They find their spot. They find what they like. And then when new things come out that people are like celebrating, they're like, no, no, no. You're not celebrating the thing that I'm celebrating. You didn't find perfection in the same place that I found perfection. You're all just sheep, and you're all just catering towards, or you're all just being catered to, right? You're falling into hype. All of us fall into hype. All of us. If you're like, I like pocket knives, you have definitely 100% fallen victim to hype of some sort, no matter how small, right? All of us. We live in a world where we are constantly being marketed to all the time, right? Our purchase decisions, our purchase choices, whether we care to admit it or not, are in some way, shape, or form influenced by marketing. Always. What you think, the decisions that you've made leading up to this point, and how you've come to the conclusions you've come to, at least a small part of that is due to marketing. They're really, I mean, all the time, like everything that I like, I can trace it back to, oh, it's probably from this. It was probably when they did the promo for this, or they did the ad for this, right? I got interested in it. Yeah. The short part of it, we're at 16 minutes. Holy cow, I've really been rambling. The short part of this is that there's nothing you can do about the knife world continuously coming out with new steels, new, mechanisms for deployment, a totally different platform, right? We were talking about this the other night on my Discord. I won't be surprised to see magnets playing a huge role in folding knives in the future. I'm 100% certain that we will see an evolution of titanium, or titanium, hybridized with something else as a newer and better frame, right? Or more, I'm sure lots more synthetic weird things. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of odd synthetic washer setup that totally replaces or beats out bearings, phosphor bronze, and nylon all at the same time, right? Or something totally different that just breaks the whole, foundation for what we consider normal or expected, right? And those evolutions, right, will always be viewed as unnecessary by a certain percentage of our population, or gimmickry or hype, right? And then other people will celebrate it, think it's exciting. And nobody's wrong. The people who get excited about it and want to pay money for it, they're not wrong. It's good to support that kind of thing in a way, because even if, let's say that 95% of the progress that's made in technology that goes into the knife world, right? Let's say it all is basically not really progress. It's just going in different directions, right? We get to here and we just go, we just branch out sideways and just do a bunch of different things that don't necessarily bring anything super beneficial to the table for everybody, but they're just interesting, right? And then we finally make one tiny step forward, right? Because of all of these different companies, all of these different knife makers, these different designers, all trying different things at the same time. Somebody finally does something, one of those people, that actually brings it forward. That's awesome. That's great. That means that because there were so many people involved with doing all these different things and being inspired by each other, we actually were able to make that step forward. That same step could not, mathematically, would not have made, that wouldn't have happened if we just lived in a knife world where everybody just only was like, no, we can't strafe, we can't, draw motivation from anything else. We don't want to take any risks or do anything weird or crazy or try to develop anything different. We just want to stay right here. We would never, or we would crawl forward at such a small, a fraction of the pace that I just described. We want the bulk of unnecessary features. We want all of these different makers, manufacturers, designers doing different things all the time, exploring different things, being inspired by different things, we want that, because it's much more likely that out of this, this maelstrom of chaos and unnecessary, it's much more likely that an actual step forward in terms of convenience, utility, or whatever, that something like that is made. A lot of people would argue, no, actually, there's no way that any real progress is left to be made, right? I mean, the knife in its truest form has already been perfected. The folding knife, the fixed blade, right? I mean, truthfully, I don't think it can get any better. That's what you'll hear people say that. I would say that's unfortunate that you think like that. Just given general, the history of all things. just taking a quick, Google tour through the history of all things would tell you that you're hopelessly, infinitely incorrect about that. What's the story about the guy in the was it in the 1800s, the guy who was like heading the patent offices was like, I'm thinking about closing because everything that's been invented, or everything that can be invented has already been invented. I can't remember the guy so somebody can help me out with that. In the late 1800s, they were gonna close the patent office because he was like, now we've hit the peak of technology. Yeah, so no, there's always progress to be made. Most of it might just seem like unnecessary gimmickry and stuff like that, but it makes it interesting. It gives my channel fuel, things to talk about, and I like stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I can look at it and go, we don't really need this, but it's cool, and like, in my opinion, it adds value to it, right? Do we need Microtech Halo 6? Does anybody really need this? No. But god dang it, I'm so happy that it exists. I can't tell you how happy I am that this thing exists. It's freaking really expensive. It's overpriced. But I'm so happy that it exists. I mean, so many OTF designs, and surely people who are thinking in the future, so many of all of that stuff combined, there's so much inspiration that has likely come from the Halo 6 that would not exist if the knife itself did not exist. So I appreciate it for that, even if I know good and well that nobody needs it, right? So, I'm not coming down on anybody, but if you're quick on that criticism trigger, right? If you are the Ralph of a new group, or you've been in the group for a little bit, but you're just, really just, wanting to point out how silly everybody is for feeding into hype and this and that, just remember that, there are a lot of other moving parts to this. There's a lot of other, butterfly effect. A lot of this stuff can create the good that you too will eventually appreciate, but wouldn't have been able to appreciate had that gimmickry or that nonsense not taken place in the first place, right? So it's a grain of salt kind of thing, and it's take it for what it's worth, and just step back and understand that everything has its own place. Everything is a cog, large or small, right? That's why I get so excited about this stuff. That's why I appreciate little tiny, sometimes stupid little things. I like it. I want it to be, right? There needs to be stuff that is unnecessary and bad. There needs to be stuff that is unnecessary and good, and so that we can have things that are necessary and good and a step forward, right? We need all of that stuff. Otherwise, we just live in a world, just a gray world with, Ontario rats are worse than Opinel. Imagine that. Just a gray, just colorless world with just nothing, and everyone is just, just wearing a, t-shirt and jeans, and we all just have Opinels. Ugh, that sucks. That'd be the worst. Thank you, unnecessary and gimmicky and odd, for making this world infinitely more interesting. Okay, that's about all this needs to be. Guys, make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this episode of The Knife Guy, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that metal complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.